The Ducati Monster has been a matter of both heritage and pride for the Italian brand, and it's become a sub-brand on its own over its existence of last 25 years. And the Monster 797 is kind of a look back at that rich 25 years of history. The 803cc twin-cylinder engine is air-cooled and the bike has minimal electronics, which is similar to the original Ducati Monster 900. Out of the 2018 lineup, this is one of the most accessible bikes on the Ducati range. If you want an entry-level Ducati, but you're not really attracted to the looks of the Scrambler, then this might be a motorcycle you're looking for. When it comes to styling, the Ducati Monster 797 definitely looks the part. The 16-liter big fuel tank taken right from the Monster 1200 not only looks great, but it also means a long range with over 18 km per liter mileage on this naked motorcycle. However, for today's first ride, we have in front of us a beautiful straight highway. So that is where we'll test it out and let you know about our first impressions. If you want to check out the review, you have to subscribe to us because next month we'll release the full review after a comprehensive road test.
So this is available in a few color options. Pretty nice motorcycle. Ducati, believe it or not, aims this motorcycle as one of their beginner bikes. So though it does look like an authentic Ducati Monster, if you look at it from an engine point of view, oh, that engine's pretty punchy. I wasn't expecting that. It's the same engine that runs in the Ducati Scrambler. It's an 803cc Ducati language L twin engine. When I was riding the Ducati Desert Sled, Scrambler Desert Sled Edition, the acceleration was different and it was basically the same bike in a different state of the tune. So now that we're riding this, instantly I see how much sportier the throttle response is, and I can't say that I'm complaining because I'm on a highway and it really feels good. The dash, even in bright sunlight, it's clearly visible. I think you can see it in the video itself. Very minimalistic, but the rev meter is very nice. I really like how these numbers change highlighted from which RPM you are, and it's got a clock, and I believe this is a multifunctional display, so you can display other information if you go into the menu and all that. But it's just a first ride impression. I don't want to go into detail of all that. I just want to talk to you about how this motorcycle feels. And right from the beginning, I'd say the seat height's very low, so if you are a woman rider with shorter height, or if you're just a beginner starting up for your first big bike, I definitely find this to be a great thing. Now obviously we are in India and right now it's winter, but in the summer this bike does have air cooled and oil cooled, no liquid cooling on this motorcycle, and that's going to be a little bit of an issue in urban commuting. Otherwise this bike with the shorter sportier handlebars and stuff would be great in city riding and filtering and all that, but that's just what I think initially. Now let's just open up the throttle and see what this motorcycle can do. Oh god, I must say that it went up to 174 kilometers per hour, and the power delivery is it is exciting. It's very linear, but it has a punch of something attached to it which kind of makes it worth a while. There's just something about this bike. It builds up linearly, but there's just a hint of hooliganism, as I can say. And the tires are obviously Pirelli. Ducati doesn't compromise on tires and brakes. And as I move this motorcycle to corners, I really can feel a great feeling. And then as I break it down to about 30 kilometers per hour speed from, I think I was doing about over 80, the brakes are superb. I think these brakes are more than sufficient for this motorcycle, and probably a little bit on the overkill side, because Ducati is laying down, I believe, 320 mm dual disc Brembo brakes up front. And honestly, on this motorcycle, they feel a little bit of an overkill, but I'm not complaining because they give you such a secure feeling. And after the initial bite, which is very strong on this bike, oh my god, for beginners, if beginners really ride on this, they better watch out for the brakes, because this is gonna give you some immense stopping power, even if you're doing a slight two-finger squeeze. And you know, then the feedback, the reassuring feedback, I'm just going front brake only, I don't think we would need the rear brakes. The front brake is so good, and of course I can change my opinion when I'm in a panic braking situation like this, and I'm going to the track, and then braking down so good. It really has that kind of a thing. Now, flickability, I believe this is one of the best handling naked bikes in this category. This is not the street triples category, by the way. It's about 75 PS, coming out at 9,500 RPM, I believe. And 75 PS honestly is not bonkers. It's not bonkers, and doesn't have any power modes, so you cannot reduce it. You have to deal with the 75 PS, and it's just that kind of power where you can enjoy it without the help of any electronic aids. Coming to the electronic aids, this motorcycle comes with ABS, and I believe that's it. There's not much else electronically on this bike. No power modes, no traction control or cornering ABS or anything on that bike. So it's kind of like a bare bones motorcycle coming out of Europe, from the Ducati family. It's kind of like the introduction for you to the Ducati family. Now, the Monster 797 shares the looks with the previous generation's Monster 821 and the 796 and the 797, basically the smaller monsters. The Monster 1200 is lending its looks to the new upcoming Monster 821. So this bike will now be somewhat an own motorcycle, but it does get some features from the original Ducati Monster, which was many decades ago, like this tank lock system. It's a vintage touch from old Ducati feeling. When you're riding it, feels much more like a modern motorcycle from Ducati. And something I'm noticing is the engine is very purry. I mean, the characteristic Ducati growl seems to be tamed out. I mean, I'm on a highway, there's a lot of wind pressure, and I probably can't hear it. But can you hear the engine? I can't, honestly. And that's can be fixed with an exhaust upgrade, but it doesn't sound like much like the Ducatis I've ridden so far. The mirrors, well, I think they're not adjusted for my kind of view. I'm adjusting it, and now it looks a little bit better. So I find this mirrors to be very useful. Not much elbow viewing, though a little bit of my elbow is visible, to be very honest. And you know, sitting at 100 and something kilometers, 100 kilometers actually, we are doing exactly 100 on 4th gear. The motorcycles, I'm sorry, I'm not sure whether I'm in the 4th gear or 5th gear. I can check out. Okay, I'm on the 6th gear, I'm sorry. 6th gear, 95 kilometers per hour, about 3,800 RPM. The bike feels like it is in such a low RPM, and it is in a low RPM obviously, but it feels like this can do all day, and it's not stressing out the engine. So even if we were to go to about 112, 120, 128, 30, the thing is, the wind blast is more than other naked bikes. I don't know if that make any sense, but on my Duke I've got a small windshield, and I can understand how much difference that smaller windshield is doing, because I'm getting cleanly blasted out. The body positioning is upright but not completely upright, so you're slightly leaned over like 10-15 degrees max, but it's not protecting you against the highway winds at all. So going higher speed, the main issue is going to be the wind drag and nothing else, because the bike, the engine can surely 150 kilometers per hour cruising speed on the highway. So for those who are buying this motorcycle for freeway constant drying, is that they're gonna get a lot of wind blast. And I'll be honest with it, you are sitting high on the bike, so the wind blast is gonna be even more, especially if you're a taller person. I'm 5'8" by the way, and I'm about 60 kgs, and the bike feels very light and nimble, so it doesn't feel heavy at all. It's about 200 kgs, I believe. I'm not sure about the weight, I'll put it on screen, but it doesn't feel heavy at all. It feels even lighter than my own bike, which is just about 160 kgs. And I'm not exaggerating because I'm riding a Ducati motorcycle. It's just that it has that chassis which is giving it that very nimble feel, like, and at the same time it doesn't compromise on highway stability. I mean, at least for the speeds that I've done, I did up to 170 back then, and it was pretty good. So let's test out the rear brakes a bit. The rear brake kind of feels like it has got no feedback. It's kind of jam tight sort of a brake. I'm not a big fan of that anyways, but I'm really impressed with the front brake, so most likely I won't be going into the rear brakes unless I'm panic braking. Now I know you guys wanna see some action, because that's why you guys watch this kind of superbike videos, and well, you got what you asked for. Let's go. The wind blast is the main issue here. I mean, my helmet is a very secure fit, but it's kind of making me I can feel the wind blast. It's trying to knock my helmet back. It's very secure, so it's not moving an inch, but there is a huge amount of pressure on my head. Because I'm leaning down, there's not much pressure on my chest or anything. Anyways, the riding gear does play a lot of importance, but my heavy backpack, I'm not a big fan of that in this kind of speeds. So, you know, I feel we're running a little bit high air pressure, because I kinda, as a lightweight rider, I kinda tend to put it down a little bit, like a couple of psi down, so that I can get a little bit better grip and traction out of it. I wouldn't complain much about the traction. The suspension is on the plusher side. This is not like a typical Ducati. The rear especially, I feel, is a bit more plush. I think it's adjustable, so I would set it up a little harder if possible. I don't know which setting we're in, to be honest, but I'd set it up a little harder, because the bike's kind of moving around a little bit on the highway bumps, which is taking away slightly from the confidence. Otherwise, the front end has a good amount of stability, and I can believe that this motorcycle will keep up with much bigger bikes on the twisties, because the power delivery is very cornering friendly. It doesn't have that odd surprise hit in somewhere, but just has a little bit maniac fun around it. So right now on the 6th gear, so that kind of jump is not there, but if I were to shift down a little bit and then God, we did about close to 200, and what I can say is the wind pressure is immense on this bike. I mean, I think I've said it for the 3rd time, but I've never felt so much wind blast on any motorcycle. But today is a windy day, so I'd not be unfair to the Ducati. Maybe if I had a different naked bike, we could do a comparison. But honestly, I've never been so knocked out by wind in my life at 200 kilometers per hour, and didn't even touch 200. I was around 191 kilometers per hour speedo indicated, and that guy's doing an amazing job keeping up with me on the Duke, but obviously I'm slowing down to very manageable speeds at times. Overall, great motorcycle. I have no complaints about it. It's beautiful to ride this bike on the highway, and I guess that's my short first ride impression. Thanks to Shiladitya for this opportunity. We'd come back to this motorcycle for a full review, but that's gonna take some time, so I just wanted to share this with you guys in the meantime. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon. This is Rahul. Goodbye.